Hi, I'm Anna Reed, a Senior Program Development and Research Associate with APA, and I'm here with Doug McDonald, the Comprehensive Planning Manager for the City of Plano. Thanks for joining me, Doug.
Well, thank you for having me.
So Plano tomorrow received the silver level recognition through the Comprehensive Plan Standards pilot program, and also recently won the Burnham Award.
Yes, ma'am.
For comprehensive plan. So we wanted to talk to you a little bit more about Plano tomorrow.
Okay, well, great.
So Plano tomorrow is a completely web-based plan. And can you talk a little bit about how you guys arrived at doing a completely web-based?
Sure. Yeah, one of the things we wanted to look at was, how are people using the plan after it's adopted? Most of us and most of the public, whenever the plan goes through the adoption process and it's approved, usually don't pick it back up again. A lot of data, a lot of information, 200 pages worth of text, and so we were truly trying to figure out, okay, how do we keep working on this, on our next steps, and keep a plan that's evolving and changing to our trends and our population differences. And so we came up with the web-based plan, so all the elements are told through 2 and 3 minute videos. It's a lot more interactive for the public. They can come in and actually vote on different priorities. And so that was kind of the way we wanted to start thinking about is how do we keep engaging the citizens, engaging the public even after it's adopted. So the web-based plan was a component for us to make that move. And we know even from our keynote on yesterday that I believe half of the internet usage is now through videos. And so that was actually a great feed into what we did, is actually using the video component to tell our story.
And so can you talk a little bit about Plano in the context of Plano and sort of its growth trajectory and how that's affected your planning?
Sure, yeah, the City of Plano, we've had 3 major comprehensive plans. We've updated these comprehensive plans every 2 years, 2 to 3 years as conditions change, but our first comprehensive plan was in 1963. At that time we had about 3,000 residents, so we were a little farm community just north of Dallas-Fort Worth in the North Texas region. That plan really laid out the foundation of our roadway network, where our schools are going to be located, residential areas. We then, with the growth of the Dallas North Tollway and US 75 corridor, Plano exploded in growth. By 1986, we adopted a new comprehensive plan, and what that was doing was taking a suburban community and looking at making it into a major economic and employment center. With the arrival of EDS and JCPenney corporate headquarters, Plano began to build its presence of the corporations moving into the city. And so we started transitioning more into our self-sustaining city and not so much a first-tier suburb from the North Dallas area. Our new plan was adopted in 2015, Plano Tomorrow, and we are nearing about 6% left of vacant land. And so we really had to change priorities on, we're not a fast-growing city anymore. We need to kind of slow down and look at the redevelopment opportunities. How are we going to redevelop? What type of uses do we want to encourage into the city? We have some challenges in terms of certain uses, retail being one. We have 3 times the national average of retail square footage within the city of Plano. And so how do we reinvent those 4 corner areas to bring in new life that will help generate new life to neighborhoods? So our trends and challenges have all kind of changed throughout the years, but now we're looking at redevelopment and really sustaining the excellence that we have currently now in our city and expanding that.
So going back to those trends and some of those challenges you just mentioned, Plano Tomorrow scored really well on the Liveable built environment principle, and that includes infill development, multimodal transportation. And can you talk a little bit about how your plan specifically addresses some of the things under that principle and the goals and related policies that you have?
Sure. Yeah, we have a built environment pillar, and within our built environment in the comprehensive plan, we have land use and community design, housing and neighborhoods, and then transportation. Transportation is a challenge, and we know it's going to be a challenge in the future. We have an employment base right now with the City of Plano of over 200,000 jobs. We have 30,000 more jobs in the pipeline with the new Toyota North American headquarters, Boeing, Liberty Mutual, and so we know traffic's going to increase. We have another 3 million people coming into North Texas the next 10 to 15 years. And so we kind of have to adjust how we've built our system today from the 1960s. The challenge we have is we've built out on road capacity. In order to keep expanding more lanes, you got to take out businesses, and that's not something the city wants to do. So we have to start thinking of alternative transportation, rail. We are a member of the Dallas Area Rapid Transit System. We have 2 light rail stations. We have 3 more planned stations as part of the system, 2 commuter stations and 1 more light rail station. We're trying to expand our bus presence, and so one of the things with the comp plan was actually adopting a multimodal transportation ordinance, and then also looking at developing a transportation plan that would look at these other types of transportation options, bicycling being one. We have shared routes right now, but we don't have any dedicated bike lanes, so that's an option to take a look at for mobility. Infill development. We have a few challenges, one being most of our vacant land that we have remaining is adjacent to expressways. And what we're seeing is a really high demand for residential uses, but those may not be the most desirable uses to be next to expressway due to quality of life impacts, noise, odor, those type of things. So the comp plan, one of the plans we're looking at doing now is doing a quality of life study, bringing in a consultant to help look at where residential uses are actually appropriate in those infill lots along the expressways. If they are appropriate, what type of mitigation techniques should be recommended to help protect those residents. And then with transportation demand, transit-oriented development, we do have a transit-oriented development policy. We're looking at doing some small area station plan as a result from the comprehensive plan. We're also looking at possibly rezoning. The comp plan recommends rezoning portions of the city 1/2 mile around the transit stations, current transit stations and future. We have one great station that right now in downtown Plano that's become a very walkable area. It was a APA Great Place in America in 2015, downtown Plano neighborhood. And then we have one station at Parker Road, which is actually at the end of the line. And so it's a really heavily used commuter station. We have a lot of folks coming in from the northern suburbs, which are not part of the DART system, parking there and using it to get into downtown Dallas. And so we have those policies set in place with the comprehensive plan, and those are kind of our next steps since the plan's been adopted.
And so with the web-based platform, you have something that allows people to sort of vote on prioritizing policies. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah. So all the policies, we have over 40 policies. Each policy page has a poll embedded into the web page. That poll asks the citizen or the business owner, what priority do you give this specific policy? And so that way, they can actually keep interacting with the plan even as after it's adopted. As policies begin to shift, when we were working on the comprehensive plan back in 2015, we were just coming out of the recession. There were a lot of concerns about underutilized retail centers becoming vacant. Water conservation, Texas was in a really extreme drought in that time. And then we also have an aging mall, an old suburban style mall that has lost 2 of its big anchors with Macy's and Dillard's. And so those were really the priorities. A lot of things have shifted even within the last 2 years with the coming of the Toyota headquarters. And so what the polls give the ability to do is actually keep the plan evolving as years progress and conditions change. And so on the front page of the planotomorrow.org website, you can actually see in the bottom citizen priorities. And those will change as more votes keep getting put into the system from the public. We use those priorities when we report back to City Council for budget requests and for updates on the comprehensive plan. We use those to show what are the trending policies in the comprehensive plan that they may want to look at funding if requests were to come before them during the budget process.
So speaking of budget requests, something that the plan didn't score as well on was implementation. I know this is something we've talked about before. Can you talk a little bit about that, and then also how you guys sort of have adjusted based on the feedback you received through the comp plan pilot? Yeah,
so that was one of the areas we didn't score as well on. To a planner, that's not the best thing to hear, is the implementation portion not scoring as well. One of the things I know that is traditional with comprehensive plans is you have an implementation matrix at the end of the document. It assigns which departments are responsible, the time frame. We have that information. It's the way the website is used. It's a little different. So what we tried to do is simplify that information and put it into all the action statements. And so if you look at our website, say if you want to go to the transit-oriented development policy, you click on that policy, you'll see 5 to 10 different actions that we need to accomplish. Next to those, you'll actually have progress polls, and it'll show if the action is in progress, completed, or pending. so the community can get a quick snapshot if they have a particular action that they're interested in to update. It'll give them a quick update of that. From the input we received from the Comprehensive Plan Sustaining Places program, we actually went forward and are doing our annual reporting and made it a lot more robust than what we would have been in terms of the implementation piece of things. So we just released our first annual report in October. It identifies, it kind of summarizes what actions are by each different department. Are they funded? Have they not been funded? Do they need funding? Out of the 273 actions within the comprehensive plan, only 60 actions have been identified as needing additional resources, whether they be new staff or additional funding for different projects and equipment. So we know the plan, we can actually do most of it with our existing resources, which is a great thing to be working towards. So it identifies those pieces. It identifies kind of some of the big highlights of the implementation process, one of which was our mall that I mentioned before, Collin Creek Mall. We are actually doing a study right now to reopen the creek bed. So the mall built in the 70s and 80s, it was actually, the parking lot was built on top of the old Spring Creek. And so we're looking at how much it would cost for the city to go in to help incentivize redevelopment and actually open the creek back up and use that as an amenity for to kickstart that redevelopment for the site. So we've highlighted all the information within the annual report, and so a lot of that stuff that we did to kind of put some more meat into it was from the comments we received from APA.
And finally, why did you decide to pursue recognition through the comp plan standards?
You know, I really think it, one, we decided to do it and to kind of model our plan after the Sustaining Places program, because it set that national standard. It gave you some benchmarks to kind of to set moving forward. It also gave you some examples of different other communities that are using these type of policies and procedures, and so it really gave us a framework for us to kind of build off of. We decided to go through the recognition program because I think it helps legitimize the efforts that we're doing as planners. It helps get the word out that what we're doing, you know, at a local level, you may not see the impact, but from a national level, you're able to evaluate your plan on its sustainable measures, but also how it compares to other cities nationwide. So I think that gives us a better voice to show to the public and to show the elected and appointed officials that this is a really important component to the city and something we should be looking at in the future.
Great. Thanks so much for joining me
Nope,
this afternoon.
thank you very much.